behalf of the law school, I want to say thank you to those in the audience who have done so much to bring our graduates to this special day. Law school demands a lot, not only of its students, but from those who love them. After all, it takes more than academic ability to graduate from law school. It takes hard work, dedication, and money. Many of you in the audience have supported our students emotionally and financially before and during law school, and their success in many ways is your success as well. So let me take a moment to let you know how much we appreciate all you have done to make this day possible. And graduates, can you please give these folks in the audience a round of applause? This day belongs first and foremost to our graduates, so it is my honor to introduce the president of the Student Bar Association, Mr. David Dove. Mr. Dove is a 2009 graduate of the University of Georgia, where he earned a degree in political science. Prior to entering law school, he served as the Director of Local Government Affairs in the Governor's Office. While in law school, Mr. Dove was a member of the moot court and mock trial boards and was selected for membership in Order of the Barristers. He is a member of the Blue Key Honor Society, has served as a student academic advisor and as a faculty research assistant, as vice president of the Georgia Association for Law and Politics, and has been selected as a UGA Amazing Student. Upon graduation, he will serve as Deputy General Counsel to Secretary of State Brian Kemp. David has done a splendid job as our SBA president, and I am grateful to him for his hard work, his thoughtfulness, and his dedication to our law school. Please join me in welcoming David Dove.
Dean White, Mr. Rives, Mr. Rothschild, Sheriff Edwards, Dean Brown, Dean Rollins, Dean Rutledge, Professor Birch, distinguished faculty, my fellow graduates, honored guests, spouses, partners, family, and friends, on behalf of the Georgia Law Class of 2014, welcome to this year's commencement ceremony. Dean White, thank you for your very kind introduction. Today is a special day for all of us gathered here on these North Campus grounds. For some graduates, they will become the first attorney in their families. And for others, they will carry on a legal tradition that dates back generations. However, one thing binds all of us graduates together, though, and that is the search for postgraduate employment. Now, I want to talk on this for just a few moments, and as I do, I want everyone here to focus on and remember three numbers. Keep these numbers at the forefront of your mind because they are very important. The first number is 1,877. The second number is 3,683. And the final number is 529. Remember these numbers, write them down, because when you translate them alphanumerically, you have 1877 Dove Law, and you are now all a part of my career backup plan. They may be coming to the back of a phone book near you after the bar exam. In all seriousness, it is a great honor to stand here before you today. It is a dream come true for me to become a graduate of the University of Georgia School of Law, as I know it is for all of my fellow graduates as well. But it's more of an honor to be a member of this class, the class of 2014, because, ladies and gentlemen, they are perhaps the greatest and most accomplished class to ever walk through the doors of Hirsch Hall. But more than that, they're some of the greatest people that I have ever known. At the beginning of this year, I had the opportunity to speak and welcome the incoming first-year class at their orientation. And I told them that academically they were at base camp, preparing to summit Mount Everest. You see, base camp at Everest is a feat unto itself. It stands higher in elevation than the highest peaks on most continents. And just like the incoming first-year class, when we all arrived here in August of 2011, we had all accomplished extraordinary things. We had climbed high, but our wills were driving us higher. Now, the journey over the last 3 years has been an arduous one, but members of the class of 2014, I am proud to announce to you today that we have finally reached this academic summit. Throughout our lives, there'll be more mountains to climb and more summits to reach, even ones more extraordinary than this one. But it is altogether appropriate that we take time today to enjoy the view from the top. The last 3 years were perhaps the most trying of our lives. Even that first week seemed like it would never end. And for my fellow graduates in Section X, that was entirely due to us having Dean Brown for civil procedure not less than 4 times in 3 days. We were all experiencing what it was like to be called on for the first time. And may I just take a moment to say that for those of you here who may not have ever participated in a law school class, there are no words in the English language that can possibly describe the emotions one feels with that first encounter with the Socratic method. Oh, you might be prepared, but that has absolutely no bearing on how intelligent you sound when you start talking. I'll actually never forget my first time being called on. It was in Dean Brown's civil procedure class, and he had asked a question of one of my fellow graduates and kind of backed them into a corner and began moving around the room asking questions to see if anybody could give him an answer. And his voice split the air like lightning hitting a pine tree when he said, "Mr. Dove, do you have a thought?" I sat up in my chair and leaned in. I gave Dean Brown a very insightful answer. "That's absolutely incorrect," he said, and he moved on. Now, there were other times, too, when we all suffered from what might be called academic exhaustion, and perhaps we didn't read as closely or as carefully or at all. And one of those instances actually caught me in Professor Eaton's torts class. I think he knew he had me because he asked me a very pointed yes or no question. "Mr. Dove, did the court hold thus and such?" "Yes, I think." Professor Eaton looked at me, much in the same way he's looking at me now, and said, "And your other answer would be?" See, Professor Eaton had quite the knack for catching students when we hadn't read very carefully. But I guess that's a skill one develops when they've been teaching law since Abraham Lincoln took the bar. Thankfully, class of 2014, we finally made it past that first week, the first month, the first semester, and finally the first year. During this time, we learned together. We laughed together and we grew closer. We applied ourselves and developed hard skill sets. We gained better critical thinking skills. We learned how to argue both sides of every issue, to thresh out facts, to make better decisions, to type faster, to sleep less, and to read more. Or at least to make the 2 pages that we did read seem as though we'd read all 20. Now, after 3 years, we can look back and see what all we've accomplished together. In addition to being a record-setting class by our own admission numbers, we have contributed over 30 published student notes to expanding the study of law. We have given thousands of hours helping indigent individuals find justice through the Criminal Defense Clinic. We have counseled countless clients through some of the most trying moments of their lives in the public interest practicum. We have donated our time and our money to help charities and individuals who cannot help themselves. We have planned and prepared symposia inviting attorneys from all around the nation to join us here in learning at Georgia Law. We have even won a case at the United States Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals to the Appellate Litigation Clinic. And in advocacy, we have won finalist and national semifinalist trophies in negotiations and have won countless trophies in moot court and mock trial, including a state moot court championship, a national moot court best brief, and no less than 3 national titles. Class of 2014, our contribution to our profession is already immense. So as we stand here today and accept the honors of graduating from one of the nation's best law schools, one question remains: what's next? This is the question that's plagued most of us throughout our law school career. But you see, anytime you're climbing, it's always hard to see past the summit. You can anticipate what the view from the top may look like, but it remains only a vision until you're actually there. Now, many of us have ideas of what our careers will look like and how they will be defined. But graduates, I encourage you today to challenge the vision that you have set for yourself, because today we will achieve something greater than a piece of paper that will one day allow us to work as an attorney and hopefully earn a significant income. Today prepares us for something more than whatever pursuits we may have for our own careers. Today we earn a degree that will allow us to take on a mantle that only a small portion of the population is selected to bear, to become lawyers. As one author described it, every lawyer is a monolith within society that serves as a buttress when others are weak, a beacon when justice is sought, and a touchstone when truth is needed. Today, we do not just become law graduates, though. We become Georgia law graduates. And by that distinction, we must accept a higher calling for leading our society. You know, it's said that the road to leadership in Georgia travels through the University of Georgia. But if that's the case, Hirsch Hall must have its own express lane, not only to Atlanta, but to the rest of the nation and the world. When we graduate today, we will join the ranks of the men and women who have worn these robes before us, and it is incumbent upon us to continue their good work. You see, it was a Georgia law graduate named Richard Russell who championed the American farmer and became a key player promoting the growth of our nation's military, helping make our country the superpower that we are today. It was a Georgia law graduate named Carl Sanders who helped end segregation in our state, advancing the dream that equal rights would be available for all. It was a Georgia law graduate named Etherin Cousin who promoted food security programs here in the United States and who now serves as the executive director of the United Nations World Food Program and has been named by Time magazine this very year as one of the 100 most influential people in the world. And it was a Georgia law graduate named Jack Rives, who we'll all get to hear from shortly, who became the Judge Advocate General for the United States Air Force and was the first person in that position to earn the rank of Lieutenant General. And you know, I could go on and on. Graduates, this tradition of excellence is ours to enhance and preserve. So as we look now from this vista of our own academic summit, we know that there are other mountains to climb. But you see, we won't be making those climbs alone. It is now our job to lead others, to help them as counselors and advocates reach their own summits. We are now the ones called on to stand up for those who cannot stand for themselves. We are the advisors who people will turn to in the darkest moments of their lives. And although it might not always be popular or convenient or glamorous, we are now the ones who are called on to champion the causes of others. So today, spouses, parents, family, friends, partners, and my fellow law graduates, as we celebrate the closing of this chapter here at Georgia Law, let us also celebrate the launch of a new group of jurists into this world, the men and women who will now carry the torch of justice for a new generation, shining its light to all of those who are the most in need. Members of the class of 2014, my fellow graduates and my dear friends, congratulations. But more than that, good luck and Godspeed on climbing the next mountain that you see on your horizon. Thank you. It is now my distinct honor to introduce the president of the Georgia Law Alumni Association, Mr. Alan Rothschild, Jr. Mr. Rothschild is an attorney in Columbus, Georgia, and a 1985 graduate of this law school. He has practiced in estate planning, taxation, and general business law with the firm Hatcher Stubbs for nearly 30 years, and has served as a strong supporter of Georgia law. He recently served as the American Bar Association's chair of the section of real property, trust, and estate law. Mr. Rothschild's family also has strong Bulldog ties. He and his wife, Jewett, have two children, Alan III, who is a graduate of UGA, and Caroline, who is currently enrolled here in Athens. Before we welcome Mr. Rothschild to the podium, though, I want to invite him, Alex C., the class of 2014 class president, and Dean White to accept the check for donations raised by the class of 2014 for this year's Legacy Fund. Together, this class has helped prepare Georgia Law for the future by pledging over $62,000 back to the school.
David, thank you for that introduction. And on behalf of the Law School Association, a deep and sincere thanks to you and to Alex and all the members of the class of 2014 for your generous gift to the Law School Fund. It's a great privilege today to represent over 9,000 living alumni of Georgia Law at this celebration of your great accomplishment, along with your families, your friends, our distinguished guests, and our faculty. I would be particularly remiss, however, not to individually recognize Dean Rebecca White. As most of you know, Dean White has announced her intention to return to full-time teaching once a new dean is in place at the law school. In an interview after becoming interim dean in July of 2003, Dean White set 3 goals for our institution: to enrich the learning environment, to enhance our academic reputation, and to increase private giving to Georgia Law. Without a doubt, Dean White has accomplished each of these 3 goals during her tenure. Associate Dean Brown and Professors Birch and Rutledge represent on this platform an outstanding faculty that Dean White had a significant role in assembling and nurturing in Hirsch Hall. As you've already heard, the caliber of our law school and its graduates is known not just in Georgia or the Southeast, but today nationwide, as we regularly hear stories of their successes in practice in Los Angeles, in Washington, in New York. The number of our graduates chosen for the most select judicial clerkships has grown exponentially in the last decade or so. A major research institution recently selected a 1980 Georgia Law graduate as its new president. If you need a hint, his office is about 100 yards behind your left shoulder. And as you'll hear shortly, we're proud to claim as our own Jack Rives, the executive director of the largest organization of lawyers in the country. While Dean White and our great faculty are primarily responsible for the outstanding learning experiences available at Georgia Law and for its ever-expanding reputation, her 3rd goal for our institution, increasing private giving, is a partnership that requires each of us to do our part to provide the private support necessary to maintain and expand our faculty and facilities and to continue to recruit the highest quality students to Athens. On behalf of the Law School Association, it is my great privilege to welcome you as graduates of our law school into full membership of the association. But I also challenge you to partner with Dean White and her successor to ensure that our institution receives the private support needed to retain its place as one of the greatest law schools in this country. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lonnie Brown. I'm the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, and I would like to add my words of welcome and congratulations to all those who have preceded me. Our graduates are deservedly the focal point of today's commencement ceremony. They are an extraordinary group of men and women who have worked diligently over the past 3 years to earn the starring role that they occupy today as graduates of this wonderful institution and as soon-to-be members of our most noble profession. However, they didn't achieve this lofty status without a little help from a very accomplished and talented supporting cast. I'm referring, of course, to our distinguished faculty. These dedicated individuals have taught, counseled, and motivated the class of 2014 in preparation for the professional journey upon which they are about to embark. My faculty colleagues are outstanding scholars, committed and active members of the university, law school, and broader communities, and most importantly, they are tremendous teachers, profoundly devoted to the education of our students. Jackie Robinson famously said that a life is not important except in the impact that it has on other lives. By that measure, the lives of our faculty are undoubtedly important. The class of 2014 has been enlightened, influenced, and inspired by some of the best professors and people that you will ever find. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you the faculty of the University of Georgia School of Law, and I ask that they stand to be recognized and thanked. I now have the privilege of introducing to you one of the law school's truly outstanding student leaders, Ms. Alex C., who will introduce our commencement speaker. Alex is a native of East Tennessee and grew up not far from here in Lawrenceville, Georgia. She is a 2011 graduate of the University of Georgia, receiving a BA degree in criminal justice with a focus on philosophy. While in law school, Alex has been amazingly active. She has excelled as an advocate, competing on both our moot court and mock trial teams, and serving as a member of the moot court executive board. As a testament to her advocacy skills, she was selected to be a pupil in the Joseph Henry Lumpkin Inn of Court and was recently inducted into the Order of the Barristers. Most notably, however, throughout her law school career, Alex has been a stalwart leader of the class of 2014, serving as an elected board member of the Student Bar Association during all 3 years, including as class president in her second and third years. After graduation, Alex will be a civil litigator with the Byrd Law Group in Atlanta. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Ms. Alex C.
Thank you, Dean Brown, and good morning and welcome to all of you. As our class's president, it is my honor to introduce to you this year's commencement speaker, Mr. Jack Rives. Mr. Rives is originally from Rockmart, Georgia, and following graduation from Darlington School in Rome, Georgia, he attended the University of Georgia. Mr. Rives is a double dog. He received his Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science in 1974 and his law degree from Georgia Law in December of 1976. Following graduation from law school, Mr. Rives began a 33-year career in the United States Air Force as a military attorney or judge advocate. He retired after serving for 4 years as the Judge Advocate General of the United States Air Force, where he was the first military attorney to serve in a 3-star rank as Lieutenant General. He served as legal advisor to the Secretary of the Air Force and all officers and agencies of the Department of the Air Force. And as the senior Air Force attorney, Mr. Rives led and managed some 4,600 personnel, including 2,600 active duty, reserve, and civilian attorneys. Among his many military awards and decorations are the Distinguished Service Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster and the Defense Superior Service Medal. On Law Day of 2010, May 1st, he began serving as the Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer of the American Bar Association. Mr. Rives' overall management responsibility for staff operations at the Bar Association's headquarters in Chicago, at its headquarters in Washington, D.C., and its program sites in more than 60 countries throughout the world. He now oversees a staff of more than 900 and a consolidated budget of over $200 million. He ensures the effective development and direct implementation of the Bar Association's strategic goals. He has responsibility for the programs and policy activities adopted by the Bar Association's governing and policy-making bodies, the Board of Governors, and the House of Delegates. As the Executive Director, Mr. Rives helps to build the American Bar Association's position as the world's premier professional association for lawyers and as the voice of the legal profession. I would invite you all to please join me in welcoming Mr. Rives back to Georgia Law.
Good morning. It is great to be back home. I would like to begin by also thanking and congratulating Dean White. She's been one of our best faculty members and one of the highest rated faculty members for 25 years here at University of Georgia Law School. She's been our dean for 11 years. The average dean at the 202 American Bar Association approved law schools serves for less than 4 years. She's been with us almost 3 times that. And it's not just the length of time, but it's the quality of her service. So, Rebecca, we are very grateful for your immense contributions through many years. We look forward to welcoming you back to the faculty. This may be your last meeting as the dean for a big graduating class, but you can look back with a lot of pride on everything you've done. I thank you for that. In 1992, the presidential election included a third-party candidate. When the vice presidential candidates were having their televised debate, the third-party candidate began by looking into the camera and asking 2 questions. Who am I, and why am I here? And by his extended pause after he asked those questions, all of America began to believe he had no clue as to either answer. Who am I? Well, Alex has told you a lot about my background. Why am I here? I'm here because I sat where you've sat for the last 3 years. I'm a proud graduate of the University School of Law, and the school set me forth on a path that has been a very exciting life. The University of Georgia Law School does that. I'm the type of person who always wanted to be a lawyer from the time I was a little boy. I grew up in Rockmart, Georgia. Some of you have been to Rockmart. Some of you know where it is. Most of you probably had never heard of it until today. Rockmart is a small town. It has about 4,000 people. It's the sort of town where there are a lot of entrepreneurs, people who turn their homes into their businesses. My favorite was the town veterinarian, Dr. Collier. He was the veterinarian, and he also has a taxidermy business. His slogan was, either way, you get your dog back. In October of 1961, my parents hosted for dinner a young attorney from Augusta, Georgia, that they'd met a few months before. And he was considering a political campaign, so he had dinner at our house, and then he met with the local PTA chapter at my elementary school. The most significant part of his visit that October evening to me, though, was our dog had puppies. And we kept one of those puppies for 15 years. We were very careful when we took him to Dr. Collier that he knew he was there for shots or other wellness treatment. The visitor that evening decided to run for governor of Georgia, and he was elected in 1962 as governor of Georgia, Carl Sanders from Augusta, a proud graduate of the University of Georgia School of Law. When I started as an undergraduate here in 1970, I frequently walked along North Campus. I'd wanted to be a lawyer my whole life. The only law school I applied to was the University of Georgia School of Law. And my first month on campus, I'm positive I saw the inscription on the wall of the addition that was built under Governor Sanders' administration. The quote from Governor Sanders in 1964, 50 years ago, is, "The people of Georgia want and deserve nothing short of the best. The University of Georgia School of Law is to be, therefore, one of such excellence that no citizen of this state need ever leave because a superior legal education is afforded elsewhere." That commitment of excellence has been realized. In my personal case, my intent was to graduate quickly, join the Air Force for 4 years, and then go back into a private practice. But I had some great opportunities. I spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C., and especially the Pentagon. I've had meetings in the White House and all over the world. I went to every state in the Union. I went to more than 50 countries overseas. I met with presidents and premiers and kings and queens and princes and ambassadors and lawyers from around the world. And the University of Georgia prepared me to hold my own in every one of those meetings and discussions. I didn't know where I would go exactly. I really didn't know I would be in the Air Force as long as I was, but the University of Georgia prepared me for that life. When I was a young military attorney, I had a case one time in the Philippines. I had a fair amount of experience because of the jobs I did. At that point, I was the chief defense counsel for the felony cases that were tried in Korea, Japan, Guam, and the Philippines. And I met with a client in the Philippines who was on a relatively simple case. I told him that I would be his defense counsel, and I've defended more than 100 airmen, and here's the things I had done before. I told him there would be 2 prosecutors in the case, but it looks like the government's ganging up on him because there's 2 of them and 1 of me, but in fact, one of the prosecutors has done 3 cases, the other one has never done a court-martial case. So he was very happy. When the court-martial began, I saw him getting increasingly nervous. He was jiggling his foot, and when he broke into a sweat, I asked the judge for a recess. And when we got to a private office, I asked my client if there was a problem, and he said, well, I know what you told me about 2 of them and 1 of you, and you're so much more experienced, and we've got the advantage, but what I've noticed is when one of the prosecutors is up talking, the other one is taking notes and thinking. And when you're up there talking, it seems like no one's doing any thinking. So that you won't wonder whether your speaker this morning has been doing any thinking, I've got a very simple message for you, and it can be summarized in 1 word. That 1 word is pride. And when I say pride, I'm not talking about boastfulness, but I'm talking about quiet satisfaction for knowing you were prepared, knowing you did your best. That sort of pride is what I'm talking about. I'll break it down into the letters of the word. The first letter is P. P stands for professionalism. To the members of the graduating class, you're about to enter a profession. In the South, we talk about being called to the bar. The only other profession that's considered a calling is the ministry. Here, your calling is to administer justice. You're a professional. It's important to live by the highest standards, not just talk about them, but live by the highest standards. General Douglas MacArthur noted that you are always on parade. As a member of the profession, people are looking at you, people are evaluating the entire profession. You may be the only attorney some people work with. So they're going to make a judgment on our entire profession because of your service. R, I say, stands for respect. And when I talk about respect, I'm not just talking about being respectful to your boss or to a superior, but I'm talking about living by the right standards. What I would ask the class to do is work hard, always do your best, and always treat everyone with dignity and respect. One evening, I was working late at the Pentagon. I went outside for a bit, and I came back in, and I was talking to the security guard. And a senior official walked by with his retinue, and I believed he was acting rude with the way he was dismissive of the guard. After he passed out of hearing sight, I commented to the guard that some people are like that. And he said, yeah, some of them are, but then there are people like General Colin Powell. He said, General Powell is probably the busiest person in the Pentagon. But he said when he stops by, if he can't stop and talk to me when he's walking in, he always makes eye contact and acknowledges my presence. He knows my name. He knows I'm married. He knows I've got 3 grandchildren. That's showing respect, and that's what I would encourage the class to do. Again, not just to people above you, but to everyone. Charles Barkley, the basketball player, now commentator, made the observation a few years ago that he is not a role model. Unfortunately, athletes are role models. They're viewed by other people. For the class of 2014, you are role models for the entire profession. People are going to look at you and decide if lawyers are good people or bad people, if you live by the highest standards or not. So you don't have a choice. You are a role model for the profession. The letter I in pride, stands for integrity. You absolutely have to live by the highest standards. I like Chinese food. I even like the fortune cookie. And I remember fortune cookies that would have cute sayings like, Confucius say, men who run behind car get exhausted. One day I got a fortune cookie, and it said, there are no degrees of honesty. And at first I was thinking, what a ripoff. I don't think Confucius said it, and that's not funny. And then I thought about it. There are no degrees of honesty. It's not a compliment if someone tells you you're honest most of the time, or you've got a fair amount of integrity. You either have it or you don't. The assumption of your peers, your clients, and your fellow citizens is you have integrity. It's yours to lose. You either have it or you don't. It's really important to live, not just speak, by the very highest standards. D in the word pride stands for determination. What makes a person successful is persevering. You're not going to get lucky very often. When you find that your opponent in a legal action was more successful than you, that's probably because she worked harder. It's probably because he put more time into it and prepared better. Someone once said that 3 keys to success are preparation, preparation, preparation. You really need to get with it, be determined, and be as effective as you possibly can. The letter E stands for enthusiasm. What's not to love about the profession of law? You've spent 3 years working very hard to get where you are. Think about it. A positive attitude can be infectious. Everybody has things that can put them in a bad mood, but you shouldn't be someone's reason for being in a bad mood because you're in a bad mood. Have a positive attitude. Compartmentalize the bad things that have happened to you. A positive attitude really can be infectious. We take pride in what each other does. The legal profession is a big team. For example, in the class of 2014, earlier this year, 3 of the students represented the university and won the championship for the National Moot Court Competition. We all take pride in their accomplishment. I'm in Chicago now, so I hear a lot of stories about Chicago sports. Most of you have heard of Michael Jordan, the basketball player. In March of 1990, Michael Jordan had his career high. He scored 69 points. His rookie teammate, Stacey King, scored 1 point. After the game, a reporter came up to Stacey King to get a quote. Stacey had a big smile on his face, and he said, "I'll always remember this night as the game that Michael Jordan and I combined for 70 points." So, professionalism, respect, integrity, enthusiasm. Respect, integrity, determination, and enthusiasm. Spell the word pride. I commend you to do it the right way, to work hard and to earn a sense of pride, a sense of quiet accomplishment for the things you do. I heard the story a few years ago about a man named Sam Maloof, who was the son of immigrants in California, grew up in the 1930s. When World War II began, he volunteered for the Army and served overseas. After the war, he came home to California, got married, moved in, bought a new house. Even though the house was small, it had more rooms than he had furniture. So he bought some plywood and some simple tools, and he taught himself the craft of furniture making. He was so good, so artistic, and so proficient that he had a business making furniture. His furniture now is in museums all over the world, including the Smithsonian. I heard Mr. Maloof speak about 15 years ago. He was in his 90s, and he said he still went to work every day. And he said nothing leaves his shop that he is not proud of. For the class of 2014, let that be your guidance. Don't let anything leave your office unless you can take pride in it. That can be the standard. You know, you can't choose certain things in life. You can't choose when you're going to be born or where you're going to be born. But you do have a lot of choices to make. There are a lot of things within your control. To the class of 14, I commend you for choosing the University of Georgia School of Law. I commend you for staying with it. As I congratulate you and your families who are very proud of you, and are looking forward to your future contributions to society, I tell you that I would love to change places with you and to be at the front end of a great career. Who am I? I'm a proud graduate of the University of Georgia School of Law. Why am I here? I'm here to tell the class of 2014 that they've got a great life ahead of them because of what they've learned at the University of Georgia. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jack, for those inspiring and so appropriate remarks. It's truly an honor to welcome you back, and we have great pride in your accomplishments. You represent us so well. I now want to take a moment to explain how our ceremony will proceed. We have with us today, in addition to our JD candidates, candidates for the Masters of Law degree. These candidates, whose degrees are actually conferred by the university at a university-wide ceremony, will be introduced this morning by our Associate Dean for Administration, Paul Rollins. They will cross the stage as their names are called. Associate Dean Brown will then introduce our faculty marshals. After that, I will confer degrees on our JD candidates. The honorary marshals will call the names for the class of 2014, and the graduates will cross the stage as their names are called. Following the conferring of the degrees, there will be a recessional. So it's now my pleasure to turn the program over to Associate Dean Rollins.
As Dean White said, I'm privileged to present the members of our Masters of Law class of 2014. Each of these students has already received a law degree from an institution outside of the United States. The Master of Laws, or LLM degree, at the School of Law is a graduate level degree for foreign-educated lawyers who are seeking an advanced understanding of U.S. law. I will announce each student's name and country of origin as they cross the stage. Hazel Aguilarova, Russia. Rukayat Ashagban, Nigeria. Charles Eno, Cameroon. Kengo Itamochi, Japan. Olga Lebedeva, Russia. Xiaochen Li, China. Mats Mayer, Belgium. Renee Montiel, Trinidad. Matthias Alm, Germany. Beatriz Porras Martinez, Colombia. Simon Shafak, Cameroon. Li Song, China. Daichen Dao, China. Jiade Wang, China. Zelalem Waldasilasi, Ethiopia. Lei Zin, China.
Each year, 2 members of the law school faculty are selected by the graduating class to serve as honorary marshals. Being chosen is a distinct honor, and the role that these special individuals play could not be more important. They are entrusted with the task of reading and correctly pronouncing the names of our graduates as they come forward to receive their diplomas. The 2 faculty marshals for the class of 2014 are Professors Beth Birch and Bo Rutledge. Professor Birch joined our faculty in 2011 after having distinguished herself as a gifted classroom teacher and highly regarded scholar at both Cumberland Law School and Florida State University College of Law. As a teacher, Professor Birch has been widely decorated, receiving Florida State's University Teaching Award as well as the Professor of the Year Award. She achieved similar teaching excellence while at Cumberland and has continued that tradition here at Georgia. Most recently, she was selected by the class of 2014 as the recipient of the John C. O'Byrne Memorial Award for furthering faculty-student relations. Her scholarship, primarily in the areas of class actions and mass torts, has been published in such respected journals as the Vanderbilt Law Review, the Boston University Law Review, and the George Washington Law Review. She is also a co-author of the forthcoming 2nd edition of the Law of Class Actions and Other Aggregate Litigation. Before entering the Academy, Professor Birch worked as an associate at Holland & Knight in Atlanta, where she practiced in the area of complex litigation. She currently serves as the Mass Torts Subcommittee Chair of the American Bar Association's Class Action and Derivative Suits Committee and is co-editor of the Mass Tort Litigation blog. Professor Birch earned her bachelor's degree cum laude from Vanderbilt University and her JD cum laude from Florida State, where she served as the writing and research editor for the Law Review. Professor Rutledge is the Associate Dean for Faculty Development and Herman E. Talmadge Chair of Law. He joined the faculty in 2008, coming to us after 5 years on the law faculty of Catholic University. While at Catholic, Professor Rutledge was an outstanding classroom teacher, garnering multiple Professor of the Year awards. As with Professor Birch, Professor Rutledge has continued his excellent teaching tradition here at Georgia and has been honored as the recipient of the John C. O'Byrne Memorial Award for furthering faculty-student relations. Professor Rutledge's teaching and research interests include international dispute resolution, arbitration, international business transactions, and the U.S. Supreme Court. A highly productive scholar, he has authored 1 book, Arbitration and the Constitution, and co-authored another, International Civil Litigation in United States Courts. In addition, his articles have appeared in a diverse array of journals, including the University of Chicago Law Review, the Vanderbilt Law Review, and the Journal of International Arbitration, among many others. Professor Rutledge also regularly provides expert advice on matters of international dispute resolution and in matters before the U.S. Supreme Court and lower courts. Before entering academia, Professor Rutledge served as a law clerk to the Honorable J. Harvey Wilkinson III, Chief Judge of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit, and to the Honorable Clarence Thomas, Associate Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. He also practiced law with Wilmer Cutler and Pickering and with Freshfields Brookhouse Derringer. Professor Rutledge received his BA degree, magna cum laude, from Harvard University, his MLit in Applied Ethics from the University of Aberdeen in Scotland, and his JD with high honors from the University of Chicago, where he served as executive editor of the Law Review and was inducted into the Order of the Coif. Please join me in a round of applause for our 2 faculty marshals.
I'd like to say a few words on behalf of the law school to our graduates. It is often said that law school is a life-changing experience, and I believe that is true. Law school does change the way you see and think about the world around you. I have little doubt that you are a more analytical thinker than you were when you entered law school. Law school trains you to better see shades of gray. It also provides you the tools you need to help transform the world around you. People will listen to you more closely and will be guided by you because you are a lawyer. Your legal training and your license to practice law allow you to accomplish things others simply cannot. That is an awesome responsibility. As a member of the law faculty, I can think of no greater privilege than to have had a role in shaping the lawyers you will become. I can promise you that the hard work you put into law school will stand you in good stead after you leave here, and it is our wish for you that your continued hard work will result in both professional and personal satisfaction. We are proud of the law students you were and of the lawyers you soon will be. Also know and remember that when you leave here, you carry our hopes and reputation with you. The lawyers you become and the imprint you make on the legal profession and on the local, national, and international landscapes in which you will practice are part of our legacy as well. I know that the University of Georgia School of Law has done well by you, and I am confident that you will do well by us. And now, will the candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor please stand? By the authority vested in me by the University of Georgia and the Board of Regents of the State University System of Georgia, I now confer upon you the degree Juris Doctor, for which you have been recommended by your faculty with all the rights and privileges thereto appertaining. Congratulations. I'm going to ask the first row to please remain standing, and with the remainder of the graduates, please be seated. Thank you so much.
Brian Scott Abrams. Robert Michael Abrunzo. Robin Catherine Adams. Christopher Edward Alderson. Elena Therese Anderson. Emily Joanna Anderson. Nathaniel Robinson Anderson. Caroline Melissa Arbaugh. Devin Paul Arnold. James Trey Atkinson. Seaton Grantland Bailey. Andre Danielle Baker. David Ernest Balathi. Caitlin Marie Ball. Stephen Thomas Ball. Man Bao. Anne McDonough Horn Barudi. Jessica C. Barrett. Samantha Lauren Barrett. Sarah Deliska Belichico. Kenneth James Bentley. Samantha Beely Griffin. Molly Jane Bloss. Paige Michelle Boykin. Savannah Laura Bray. Jonathan Benjamin Bright. Samuel Emerson Britt. Ray Boo. Joel Buchanan. Justine Noel Burke. Robert Charles Burns. Peter Bousset. David Isaac Bird. Edgar Bratton Calloway. Robert Rowe Campbell. Wayne Morris Cartwright II. Travis M. Kashba. Tyler C. Kashba. Arnab Chakrabarti. Sean Chang. Adam Eugene Choate. Ellen Rebecca Clark. Candace K. Clyett. Jared N. Cohn. Brittany Elise Conklin. Greg Jarvis Conley. Andrew Joseph Kahn. Melissa Ann Conrad Alam. Grace E. Conway. Leslie Anna Coots. Michael M. Coveney. Megan Amanda Cox. Joseph Cannon Crumley. Victoria Ann Cuneo. Jennifer Christina Curtis. Jeremy Blake Daly. Stephanie Marie Davies. Meredith Nicole Davis. Spencer Christopher Davis. Sedare Davudzadeh. James McLeod Dillon. Elizabeth Butler Dement. Vanessa N. Dooley. Sawyer Desmond Duncan. Jaron Blake Dunning. David Blanton Dove. David Mead Ehrlich. Megan L. Elliott. William Howard Ellison. Blake J. Evans. Lauren Gray Farah. Mason Felton Reed. Kyle A. Ferentz. Adam Jeffrey Fitzsimmons. Robin Margaret Flegel. Chastity Naria Shade Franklin. Brittany Lynn Frowning. Victoria Elisa Garrell. Christopher Allen Gates. Ryan Peters Gentis. Peter Theodosius Jerakitis. Cutler Evan Glenn. Andres Gustavo Gonzalez. Zachary Grant Goolsby. Stuart Ross Halpern. William Hamby Hopkins. Michael Joseph Carroll. Joseph Jackson Harris. Allison Lynn Hill. Elizabeth Ann Hilly. Kelsey Chanel Holden. Robert Easley Huff. Maxwell W. Horowitz. Lisa Elizabeth Hudson. Mariana Alina. Graham Lorne Jackson. Jenna Lee Jackson. Walter Andrew Jarrett. Thomas Edward Jarrell. Jeremy Michael Jones. Lindsay Sane Jones. Kelsey Nikki Jones Connor. Robert H. Kelly. Sarah Kelly. Stephanie Kenny Schulte. Zachary William Cure. Suzanne Kihumba Watts. Jenna Jiyoungjin Kim. John Young Kim. Joseph W. Kim. Eugen Kim. Morgan L. Cleansing. Clayton Odell Knowles. Gary Lamar Jr. Daniel Robert Larson. Patrick W. Lead. Sasha Louise Leggett. Benjamin Cy Levine. Suzanne Timmons Lewis. Amanda Rachel Lopez. Jared Michael Lucas. Brian William Lutz. Eric C. Lyons.
Spencer Eugene Malley. Carrie B. Marin. Wesley T. Matthew. Courtney Indira Mojay. Adrian Denise Mayfield. Catherine Elizabeth McCabe. Charles Martin McCraney. Carrie Elizabeth McCrary. Megan Ashley McHugh. Alexander McDonald. Hannah Ruth Myren. Lauren Amanda Miller. Stuart Brett Miller. John M. Morehart. Matthew Scott Mosley. Ryan Charles Moxham. David William Bobo Mullins. Marissa Ryan Mullis. Kevin Francis Murphy. Yasmin Storm Murray. Radka Todorova Nations. Antoinette Newberry Wood. Shinya Nochioka. Matthew David O'Brien. Catherine Patricia Suta O'Shea. Michael Anthony Ong. Michael Paul Orta. Miranda Lee Owens. Taylor Kirkpatrick Owens. Constance Alexandra Parks. Philip A. Pendergrass. Heather Nicole Percival. Emily Catherine Peterson. Eric Michael Patrone. Courtney Coons Poole. Joshua D. Porter. Thomas Dixon Powell. Sumner Riddick Pugh IV. Corey Dion Rains. Hemanth Ramachandran. Margaret Elizabeth Randalls. David Milford Reed. Devin Kyle Reese. Robert Henry Rentz. Justin James Respress. Joe Patrick Reynolds. Timothy Charles Ridgely. Daniel Rivkin. James Carroll Roberts. Eutrophia Danielle Robinson. Gregory Lynn Roseborough II. Ron Andrew Sassano. Margaret A. Schaffler. Eric Michael Schultz. Kimberly Nicole Scott. Jordan Christopher Seal. Alexandria Elizabeth C. Bobby Daniel Sessoms III. Krunal Shaw. Amanda Jean Shaw. Amanda Lauren Siegel. David Monroe Smith. Michael Vernon Snow. Mitchell Bird Snyder. Nicholas Mark St. John. Stephen Leonard Strasberg. Colleen Stasha Sullivan. Catherine Autrell Sumner. William George Sweeney. Brandon Christopher Sykes. Brittany Vinchelle Sykes. Blake George Tanasi. Monique Desiree Tate. Erin Elizabeth Tatum. Lindsay Danielle Tatum. Brandon Michael Taylor. Danae Ann Terry. Joel L. Thomas. Benjamin Williams Thorpe. Matthew Gebhart Trout. Christopher David Troutman. George Andrew Turner. Eric Allen Ewells. Dennis O. Van. Corey Michael Verdonk. Kyle Brandon Waddell. Catherine E. Webb. Kelly Virginia Wagle. Emily Kate Westbury. Catherine Land Wiegand. Catherine Ann Williams. Jennifer Marie Williams. Rakita Delise Williams. Sydney Marcellus Williams. Andrew Charles Wills. Matthew Charles Wilmot. George Taylor Wilson. Terrence Levon Wilson. Walter Matthew Wilson. Daniel Jacob Wright. James F. Xiao. And Graham Davis Younger.
Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2014.